Order at 9:02 a.m. And first we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Floyd Rourke.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Floyd. Would the board secretary, and you might notice we have a new board secretary going forward. So Linda, if you would call the roll.
Chairman Gary Knight,
Present.
Vice Chairman Richard Searle,
Here.
Board Member Jen Daniels, Board Member Jackie Mack,
Present.
Board Member Ted Maxwell,
Here.
Board Member Jesse Thompson,
Present.
Board Member Jenny Howard.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum and may proceed.
Thank you. First, I would just like to thank the city of Kingman, its elected officials, the mayor, the supervisors for Mojave County. We even had some head city officials, and we appreciate and I see they're in attendance today, so we appreciate the reception and dinner that we had last night. It was very good. It was quite a warm welcome, and we got to meet with the elected officials and all of the officials up here in administration, everybody that kind of runs Mojave County and the city of Kingman and Bullhead City. So that was great. And I really apologize that we couldn't have more board members here, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. I hope that in the future more of us can be in attendance at these meetings that are away from our normal domiciles. At any rate, I will turn it over to the other board members. Jesse?
Thank you, Chairman. It certainly was a wonderful dinner, and we had some good conversations during this time. So again, thank you very much.
Ed?
Yeah, I just want to echo that it was great to see the turnout last night. And I'll tell you what I really appreciated hearing and seeing was your commitment not only to this region, but your love of this region and all the work you're putting into it to make it a better place for everybody involved. And I was really grateful that I was able to come up and experience getting on I-40. We've heard a lot about the roads and the potholes, and everybody last night echoed that you've seen a lot of work in that direction. And I was actually, at least coming from 93 all the way here to Beale Street, the roads appeared to be in really good shape, and it looked like they're getting the attention. But I'll tell you, that is in part, it always helps because you've been showing up at these meetings and telling us that that's where you want to see some money go and you want to see our effort go. So with all the passion you have for this community, I'd encourage you to continue to show up and let us know where you need more support to make Kingman and Mojave County as a whole a much better place.
Thank you, Ted. Floyd, would you proceed with the civil rights 6?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Americans with Disability Act, the Arizona State Transportation Board and ADOT do not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, disability. No person will be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefit of, or be otherwise subjected to discrimination under any Arizona State Transportation Board or ADOT program or activity. To assist in measuring the public's participation, we ask each individual to please complete an online self-identification survey, and the link to that survey is on the agenda. For those present at the back of the room, as you entered, you will have a table with the same cards on them. Please fill those out and leave them there, and we'll pick them up at the end of the meeting. By completing this voluntary survey, ADOT will be able to determine who attends its public meetings and how the department can improve participation. The survey will also help ADOT fulfill federal reporting requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Floyd. Moving on to the audience, telephonically and WebEx. Everyone will be muted when they call into the meeting. When your name is called to provide your comments, you will indicate your presence by virtually raising your hand using your telephone keypad or WebEx application. The WebEx host will guide you through the muting and unmuting process following the instructions included in the meeting agenda. In person, there is an opportunity for members of the public to discuss items of interest with the board. Please fill out a request for public input form and give it to the board secretary if you wish to address the board. In the interest of time, a 3-minute limit will be imposed. And we'll now move on to Floyd. Would you call the first speaker?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Before I start, I do see that board member Jen Daniels has entered the WebEx. Mr. Chairman, all board members are present.
Thank you, Floyd. Thank you, Floyd.
We have no request to speak online, so we are going to move into the request to speak, which are all in person. Our first speaker is Mayor Steve D'Amico. Mayor D'Amico.
I'll be brief. I don't want to waste your time. I know you guys have a lot to do today. So I just wanted to say the last time I met with you guys was in Winslow for the board meeting, and we got funding approved for Highway 95, and I just want to say I appreciate that. They're getting ready to start that very soon. And coming up pretty soon down the line on your agenda, we're going to have a take back for Highway 95 for Bullhead City. And I just want to brief comment on what a great thing this is going to be, not only for Bullhead City, but for the state. It's a win-win for everybody. And I just want to thank you in advance for your consideration on that. And again, thank you for everything and have a wonderful day. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments, Mayor.
Our next speaker is Jean Bishop, Mojave County Supervisor. Ms. Bishop. And Mr. Chairman, I have a letter that Ms. Bishop asked to give to board members. I'll make sure to scan it and send it to the board members who are virtual.
Thank you, Floyd.
Thank you very much for allowing us to be here and speak to you this morning and inviting us to have dinner with you last night. It was very nice to be able to just socialize with the board members and the director, and I was able to take some leftovers to my dogs, and they were extremely happy and didn't mind that I stayed out late last night. So getting down to business, I also want to thank you for all the help that you give rural Arizona, especially Mojave County. I am the supervisor for District 4. My name is Jean Bishop, and I represent all the area between the city of Kingman and Pat Tillman Dam, and going all the way up to Meadview and Lake Mead, South Cove area. So the residents in that area that travel back and forth to Kingman, a lot of them do their shopping in Las Vegas. So they travel this section of 93 quite frequently. And this has always been an uninterrupted flow of traffic on 93 until Grand Canyon West came to be. And Grand Canyon West brings about 1 million tourists and visitors yearly to their tourist attraction. And they turn off from US 93 onto a 2-lane county road called Pierce Ferry. And this intersection has been named the most dangerous intersection in all of Arizona. I don't know if that's true or not, but the residents believe that's true. So we have tried, and you folks have tried too. We've improved that intersection with stop signs and warnings, and there's been a lot of publicity about it, but the accidents continue to happen. And so Mojave County has put in twice now for a grant to help ADOT put a flyover interchange at that intersection. And while we've been working on that, along with the support from ADOT, all of a sudden the traffic light shows up in the White Hills area, which is about 20 miles further down the road US 93 toward Las Vegas. This traffic light is an unexpected traffic hazard on this long stretch of desert highway, and it forces drivers to step on their brakes and come to a stop, and people behind them don't always stop. So the letter is from a husband and wife that just a few days ago, the light turned red. They came to a stop, looked in the rearview mirror, and here comes this big truck barreling down. The truck takes evasive action and goes into the next lane, sideswipes another car, still hits the husband and wife and knocks them into the intersection. And they both receive some injuries. They're both going to be fine and recover. But I get these kind of complaints all the time. I get emails, I see Facebook postings, and it's just not ending. So I don't know what the answer is other than full interchanges at these intersections. And I know that'll come when Interstate 11 actually becomes a reality. But until then, people are getting hurt, people are dying, and I would just like to respectfully request that you take another look at these two intersections. There's got to be something more that we can do. Maybe we can do a study and come up with an idea. And I think Mojave County would be happy to partner with ADOT to do anything to help these two particular intersections. And as a final note, I just wanted to call attention to the fact that at White Hills, where this traffic light is, there's a big subdivision, almost a city that's being developed out there that you're going to see come to fruition in the next probably 10 to 20 years. There is a FAA approved runway out there that'll be bringing in cargo planes from Harry Reid Airport in Las Vegas. Along with those planes will come distribution centers and jobs. And this developer is building homes, affordable homes. And
Ms. Bishop, could you please, you've exceeded the time, but could you please bring your comments to the close?
in closing, this is going to be a big city right where that traffic light is. So an interchange is going to have to be there when that comes to fruition. So thank you for any consideration, and we all appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Bishop.
Our next speaker is Crystal Figueroa. Ms. Figueroa.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Knight, and members of the board. My name is Crystal Figueroa. I'm the Yuma MPO Executive Director. I'm here to inform you that we're only less than 5 weeks away from the Arizona Rural Transportation Summit. This year hosted in Yuma on October 18th and 19th, followed by the State Transportation Board on October 20th. We thank ADOT for their title sponsorship and partnership for this event. Those who have attended the Rural Summit in the past know what an exceptional opportunity the event is for elected, appointed local government officials, transportation planners, legislators, and other notable guests. They convene and engage in providing solutions to issues that might arise for Greater Arizona. We put up a fantastic agenda, lineup of speakers. There will be an ADOT Tribal Nations Partnership Program, which precedes the kickoff of the summit, and thereafter presentations by USDOT, Federal Highway, Federal Transit Administration, National Association of Regional Councils, the RTAC Board, various keynote speakers, and panel discussions around important transportation topics. Please visit the acrts.org website for additional agenda details. Early bird registration is ending today, September 15th, so we encourage people to register. We look forward to hosting the State Transportation Board on October 20th and hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal, for your comments.
Our next speaker is Mr. Elton Joe Shepard. Mr. Shepard.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, also members of the ADOT board. I have several things I wanted to bring in this public comment. One is in support of the action items that are slated for adjustment of their budgets in Apache County on the bridge replacements or bridge improvements. I highly support that. The other is we will be bringing, at least, and has been brought to the board's attention, on developing a rural school bus study in the northern Arizona area. NACOG has that as a priority on their list, and I hope that we continue to have support from the board to do that, because, you know, a lot of people don't realize what kind of world we live in up there if our buses don't have paved roads, but muddy roads and dirt roads and long distance for kids to travel just to get to school. And so I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the board again. The other is just working with the board. There's going to be some highway improvement along I-40 slated for next year. We met with the engineer person in that area about 3 weeks ago, hoping to, I guess, coordinate some of the millions that are going to be pulled off of the interstate. Possibly looking at coordinating some of those fresh millions to be laid down on a county road, a school bus route just north of Chambers in the area. However, I think the policy of the environmental policy that you guys have, or the ADOT has, is that it needs to be in storage and put there for a bit until all the clearances happen. So if counties are willing to work with you to line up their trucks to be on board, maybe it might be cost savings, and that savings, I mean, the cost is a burden on the county to do that, to improve some of the roads. So just kind of thinking, you know, just thinking outside the box a lot, being more efficient with that, maybe something we can look at down the road. The other is just SMART grant, policy recommendations and changes. As you know, in my area, Apache County, 2/3 of it is lying on the Navajo Nation. Sometimes it's a catch-22 to do my job, because a lot of my area that I represent is on the Navajo Nation. And so the SMART grant, which is supposed to help us gain some of these federal grants that are out there, maybe we can expand that to include tribal, county, state partnerships, just like we did with the broadband. Because right now, states are, I think, can apply for some of these grants and matching dollars and such. So just wanted to also bring that to the attention of the board and NACOG, as well as moving that forward. And lastly, this is my year as far as the NACOG chairman. So I'll be at the helms for the next 12 months, and just wanted to say thank you for all that you guys do there, and of course at the NACOG region as well. So I just wanted to express my appreciation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Shepherd, for your comments.
So, Mr. Chairman, that's all the requests to speak that we got. I did not receive any requests to speak online prior to the meeting, but I do know that somebody had his hand raised up. I don't know if he wanted to speak, but we did not receive any requests to speak. So that's all the requests to speak that I have.
So
I'd say you could close, call to the audience, and move on to the next item.
okay.
So the record for a board meeting was 56 minutes. Let's see if you can beat that. How's it working, both of these?
We'll move on to item 1, the director's report from Jennifer Toth.
Good morning. Thank you to Mayor and the Kingman City Council and supervisors, along with city staff, for welcoming us with such hospitality last night. We're very happy to be here in Kingman. I started my career here in Kingman, so it was very exciting for me to come back and be able to spend this week in this area and visiting with our employees. So I'd like to share a few quick ADOT updates with everyone. Next slide, please. So I'll start by highlighting some recent awards. Last month, the Arizona chapter of the Society of Marketing Professional Services honored ADOT with the Grand Phoenix or Felix Award for making a positive and substantial impact on the architecture, engineering, and construction industries. Our I-10 Broadway curve and I-17 improvement projects were specifically noted by the award as examples of how our teams contribute towards the economic engine of Arizona. The award also recognizes our employees' involvement with industry associates and the efforts to streamline our processes. So we thank SMPS for this award and are very proud to be recognized. Next slide. ADOT was also recently honored for our work with minority and women-owned businesses. For the 8th year, ADOT was inducted into the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce prestigious Arizona $1 Million Circle of Excellence Award. And this honor is notes ADOT's efforts in the area of being of supplier diversity, recognizes our DBE supportive services program and how we help small businesses get certified as disadvantaged business enterprises and enhance their ability to get work on federal aid transportation projects. It's noted that during the 1-year period ending in March 31st of this year, ADOT contracts with the DBE enterprises totaled nearly $100 million. So we thank everybody for their efforts in ensuring that we have that DBE goals and meet those requirements. Next slide, please. It was also recently announced that our State Route 24 project won the Engineering News Record 2023 Best Project Award in the Southwest Region's Highway Bridge category. Engineering News Record is an engineering and construction news publication that organizes a variety of projects in regional and global levels. Entries are judged by industry professionals for safety, innovation, and also for community benefit. The SR24 project will now automatically be considered for the National Best of the Best Awards next spring. And as you know, the SR24 project was an extension of a 5-mile section of interim expressway between Williams Field and Ironwood Drive in the Phoenix area that provided a much anticipated new local route to help ease the traffic demands in a growing area. We've got a lot of awards this morning, so I'm very proud. Next slide, please. I'm also excited to tell you that the I-10 Broadway Curve Improvement Project, if you remember the Ready to Rubble event, it was selected as the winner for the Transportation Research Board's Communicating Concepts with the Public competition. So the Ready to Rubble event, if you remember, was we invited a bunch of engineering students from around the state to see up close and look at the bridge removal process. ADOT engineers and industry professionals were also involved, and they answered the questions of the students. It was this entry will be honored during the 2024 TRB annual meeting in January, and it's a great honor to show how our teams got really creative and took extra effort to help the public understand what we do in terms of transportation. Next slide, please. And finally, I want to highlight an award that we actually presented. It's the 2023 Airport of the Year Award, and it was presented to the Colorado City Municipal Airport. ADOT's Aeronautics Group cited the Northern Arizona Airport's community outreach, new fencing, and other upgrades. And we're always proud to announce this annual award, which recognizes Arizona airports for their dedication to the community collaboration, reputable management, and providing a safe and secure aviation facility. And that's actually a perfect segue for the next slide I want to share with you. These were taken on the evening of September 6th. You may have already heard about this incident, but a small plane landed on our southbound Interstate 17 near Sunset Point. Luckily, all occupants and the public were reported to be safe and no lanes were blocked. We did warn motorists to travel with care through the area, but I thought this was just an interesting situation and illustrates every day we deal with something totally different. We never know what we might face. It certainly shows that our teams handle a variety of situations and are always ready to respond. So big thanks to our ADOT crews who were on the scene to coordinate with DPS. And also want to give a shout out to the ADOT crews in the Traffic Operations Center who kept our motorists informed. Next slide, please. And another item, we just got 900 of our managers and supervisors together this last month for our annual leadership conference. It's the first time in 4 years that the conference was able to be held in person. It gave us a chance to focus on our agency's strategic look forward. Highlights included an address from Governor Katie Hobbs on service, some valuable breakout sessions, and the unveiling of our agency's new mission, vision, and values, which you can see here on the screen. Our mission really is simple and to the point and explains what ADOT does. We provide highway infrastructure and transportation services, and our vision describes our purpose and why we come to work every day, to safely connect people and empower our economy. And our values state how we meet our mission and vision. Our ADOT employees should be easy to work with, collaborative, and results-focused. So my goal is for every ADOT employee to see themselves in this new mission, vision, and values. And right now we've started rolling out those new mission, vision, and value statements to the entire agency. And we'll continue to highlight the role that ADOT employees have in meeting our mission and safely connecting people through transportation. And one last thing, it's a financial spoiler alert for Christine's report, but it has been a very lucrative month for the board's program, thanks to a lot of collaboration and innovation. With the authorization of the board, the department proceeded with some first ever bond transactions, and they all embarked upon with an eye for the board's policy of maintaining a fiscally conservative approach. So the results are $40 million in debt service savings. This partnership and collaboration between our financial advisor, RBC Capital, and the FMS team was really exceptional. It was a heavy lift for all involved, but $40 million is definitely worth it. But wait, there's more. So $225 million more. Every year, FHWA redistributes unused funds, and the department received the highest August redistribution in its history, $225 million. The highest we've ever had is about in the $60 million range. So this could not have been achieved without the collaboration between FHWA and our FMS program and project funding team. I really want to thank Carla Petty and her team for the guidance and support. And $265 million isn't a bad way to start a meeting, I don't think. So that ends my report. There's nothing new to report for the legislative report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Do any of the board members have questions for Jennifer?
So Director, I'm going to ask, because that's a lot of money. So how does that now go back into the plan?
That's an excellent question. So the $225 million, we have a very short window to soak that up. And Christine can get into more detail and correct me, because I know just enough to get myself in trouble. So we use a lot of that to advance construction projects so that we can get it funded between the time frame of August and October, which is the federal fiscal year. And then what that does then is frees up future years of funding. So we'll be coming and programming probably a lot of preservation projects as those funds come available in the future years.
Thank you.
Any questions from any of our virtual board members? Hearing none.
Chairman.
Any last minute items to report?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Floyd, did you have something?
I'm sorry, I do not. Mr. Thompson did say that he
Yes,
asked it.
go ahead.
Chairman, board members, and those all on virtual call-in. I'm really happy that ADOT is certainly listening to all the advices, the recommendations, and projects that are being introduced from the public. I know for a fact that many times you wonder, there are a lot of needs, and you begin to think, how can we address their needs? Certainly very complicated many times. The work is there to try to bring up some success or results to these needs. And certainly I do appreciate the director bringing out some of the very positive things that have been happening. And that all these good things are happening because of the public bringing these issues to light. So Ken, thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Jesse. Any other comments from the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 2, the district report for information and discussion only with Anthony Rosich.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Pleased to be able to bring you an update on our projects here in Mojave County in the Northwest District. So for our current projects, I wanted to highlight, we have our I-40 Walnut Creek project just outside of Kingman. Bid amount of just under $30 million pavement prez in a definitely needed section of I-40. So that just kicked off recently, and you should see construction out there shortly. We also have the SR-95 Courtright Road to Bullhead City Parkway project that's underway, as well as the section of SR-95 down in Lake Havasu, Sarah Park to I-40. US 93 Gunsight Canyon Road to Gray Wash, that partnering is just kicked off as well. So we'll be moving forward with that shortly. US 60 Wash Bridge, a scour retrofit is also happening down the southern end of the project, or the district. And the US 93 Mormon Ranch Road to milepost 190, AC spot repairs, and East Seligman TI, which is getting close to wrapping up. We have the I-40 East Kingman TI Bridge. It's a deck replacement. It's underway. The SR-68 Laughlin Bridge to West Golden Valley pavement press coming up the hill.
Anthony, are you on the next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
It didn't change for you?
It didn't change yet. At least I don't see it online. Oh, there it is.
Okay. US 93 northbound Sycamore Creek Bridge and northbound Gray Wash Bridge, another deck rehab and scour retrofit. US 93 North and Nothing is a pavement press. We've been doing some guardrail repairs along that section, and hopefully here by the end of the year seeing the mill and fill start up. Further down by Wickenburg, we have the Tegna Street widening we're doing down there, adding some more roundabouts. Wickenburg Ranch and the I-17 Anthem Way TI to Sunset Point Flex Lane project. And ISR 169 at I-17 is a deck replacement as well. The intersection over there, interchange. I-40 East Willow Bridge Creek is a new bridge placement for a deteriorating bridge we have up there, been holding together. And we also have a county Andreas Road over Truxton Wash Bridge. Here's some of the latest pictures we have from the Flex Lane project. Definitely a lot of earthwork happening out there and some bridge foundations and bridges going in. And I'm sure everybody's seen the crushing operation up at Sunset Point. Here's the Willow Creek project and the new abutments being placed. And unfortunately on 95, all we're doing right now is curbing, ADA ramps. Paving has not started yet, but wanted to show that anyways. Upcoming projects, I-40 Fort Rock to Markham Wash. Another section of pavement rehab we'll be doing, along with the Holy Moses to Rattlesnake. I-40 definitely has several projects coming down in the next couple of years. Needle Mountain is another one. The border we did up to 2.4. This one will take us to milepost 8, I believe. US 60 again, Centennial Wash Bridge, another realignment over there. And then on SR 69 and 169, we are looking at installation of another roundabout in that area. And on SR 89, Paul Nash Fork, Center Line Rumble Strip project, and the Ashford Creek Bridge has a scar retrofit coming up. Future expansions, everybody here knows Kingman Crossing, TI, and working with the city, as well as Rancho Santa Fe TI. We are planning to get US 93 West Kingman TI underway still this year. And SR 97 realignment is a project at the Baghdad mine that we're working in conjunction with to try to get that realignment done. SR 69 Prescott Parkway to Frontier Village is a winding through downtown, Prescott area that's very congested. And the I-40 apologies. Any questions?
Anyone from the board, questions for Anthony? And that includes our virtual board members? Yes, Ted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So that's a lot of work. I mean, there's a lot going on throughout your district. So one of the benefits, I think, to some of the rural communities have been allocations of funding coming from the legislature over the last several years. Just roughly, what percentage or how many of those projects were benefited from some of the legislative funding projects?
I know we have the Rancho Santa Fe had legislative funding.
And I believe SR 97 as well.
Yes, they had some money put in, and the SR 95 project, though it didn't make it in time for the project, did get some legislative funding for turn lanes as well.
Well, it's good to see those all in the books. We'll see how the state budget and revenues come in this year, but I'm not sure we'll have the same luxury of having a lot of those excess funds that were distributed. So it's good to see all the work going on up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Anthony? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, the consent agenda. Does any member want an item removed from the consent agenda for special consideration? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Chairman, I would so move.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Thompson and a second from Board Member Maxwell to approve the motion consent agenda as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And if, Floyd, if you will, the virtual board members.
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Board Member Daniels,
Aye.
Board Member Meck,
Aye.
Board Member Thompson,
Aye.
Board Member Howard.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, motion carries, and I apologize, I hit Mr. Thompson twice. I was going down my list too quickly. So you only get one aye, even though you did multiple. I apologize.
You get one virtual aye.
The motion really passes.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll move on to the agenda item number 4. I noticed Christine is not among us today, so
Mr. Chairman, she is virtual, so she is ready.
Virtual,
She is
okay.
ready to present.
good. We won't miss her.
She's got extra money.
Won't miss her smiling face, then she'll be on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. She's got extra money. She wasn't going to miss presenting, not when there's extra money.
Oh, you are correct.
Christine, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Knight. Well, good morning, board members. You're right. Excuse me? I'm getting some feedback. My apologies. Okay. Yes, I wasn't going to miss this morning, given the exciting things we have going on this morning. So if we could go to the next slide, and we'll just cover the HERF, Highway User Revenue Fund, and Regional Area Road Fund fairly quickly. We could get to the next slide. There we go. Thank you very much. Okay, in terms of the Highway User Revenue Fund, there's not a significant amount to report. We've collected about $280 million to date, running about 4.8% above 23. We're a little above forecast and out of our target range, largely due to diesel tax coming in strong. If you go to the next slide, you'll be able to see where used fuel, aka diesel fuel, was 33% above forecast. That's largely associated, and this slide shows you for the month of August. 33% above forecast. That's largely due to refunds that we had a large amount of refunds last year, and we did not have as many refunds going out this year. Thus, we have a higher revenue level coming in there. If we could go to the next slide. The Regional Area Road Fund. Notice it is remarkably on forecast. That's because we had the actuals. So I would like to, let's see, it was previous slide, but this is fine. We'll just stay with July. We had the actuals in hand here, so you won't see any variance. I'd like to say it's our extreme talents, but for the month of July, that is not the case. Now let's go to the fun items. If you could go to the next slide. So as the director was mentioning, in July, the board, authorized us to go and proceed with a bond transaction. And it was basically three parts. We were doing a defeasance where we were paying off some bonds from 2015. It had a second part, which was we did a tender offer to existing holders of our 2015 bonds. Let's see, no, excuse me, our 2020 bonds. And then we did an overall issue of new money in order to pay off and replenish from that defeasance and to pay off that tender. So between August 18th and September 15th, we made that tender offer to investors of those Series 2020 bonds. 20% of investors, 20% of the holders of those bonds chose to sell their bonds for a total of about $78 million. Then on September 7th, the department used $303 million of state highway funds to defease some 2015 bonds. That same day, we went into the market and issued $351 million worth of bonds at a premium. And the average interest cost, Mr. Maxwell, you often ask me this, the yield on those was 3.22%. So the proceeds, as I mentioned, from this new issue will go to replenish the state highway funds we used to defease the bonds, the 2015 bonds, and they will go to pay for the bonds that were tendered and to pay costs of issuance. Many, as the director mentioned, and as you can see on this slide, we owe a great deal of thanks to our partners in this transaction. And Mr. Knight, that includes you and this board. But Mr. Knight, you really went out of your way, and we deeply appreciated to get those documents signed, because we had many more documents than we typically have in a bond transaction, and you were very responsive, and we very much appreciate it. Also, RBC Capital, Kurt Freund, Tom Carlson, step by step, we have really great talent on these issues. Wells Fargo was exceptional. And then we had a new FMS team member that was learning bonds for the first time. Besides the overall team, we had Ariana Nelson that was just project managing this through to the finest detail. We could move on to the next slide, the next exciting item. August redistribution. So this happens, as you might guess, every August. And it's a situation in which FHWA takes and redistributes funding that other states or programs have not used. And when I say funding, the federal term here would be obligation authority. So that unused obligation authority gets redistributed to other states, and we get an opportunity to say, hey, this is how much more funding we could utilize. there's quite a bit of effort that goes into developing that number. And this year was particularly impressive, the collaboration between FHWA and FMS's program Project Finance. And so what we ended up with, as the director let you know, we received $225 million in August redistribution. And as you mentioned, these funds have got to be used very quickly. We generally have about 2 weeks to get these funds utilized. And so the way we use them is we use them on projects that are already underway. So then we free up those dollars in future years. Another point that needs to be made is, since this happens every August, we build a certain amount into the revenue forecasts that I present to you every year as we build the budget, as we build the program. And in this case, we had $35 million that we were already counting on in those revenue estimates that support the 24 to 28 program. So what will happen from now on? We've got $190 million that will be freed up. And those additional funds, when I come back to you in January, they will be built in and incorporated into the upcoming 5-year program revenue estimates. Again, many thanks to FHWA, FMS. Elise Mazzo was constantly on this issue. I think we must have had I can't even tell you how many meetings we had on this one. So $225 million. We're very happy. Next slide, I'll take any questions.
Do any board members have questions for Christine? Christine, I would just like to say that I was kind of disappointed that you weren't here to take a bow. All the positive news that we've received, financial news that we've received, and I kind of figured you might be here in person to take a bow for that, but you'll get there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. I would have loved to have been there. I actually have a flight that's going out early this afternoon in Kingman Seam. I would have been pushing it. I didn't want to have to flap my arms to get out of town. So, but yes, can I have a rain check? Can I take a bow next month?
Okay, if we have no questions for Christine, and I'm hearing none from the virtual members, we will move on to agenda item number 5 with Pat Ney for information and discussion only, the Multimodal Planning Division report.
Chairman Knight, board members, Paul Patnay with the Multimodal Planning Division. Next slide, please. So today on the MPD update, we'll talk about the tribal transportation, a little bit on the planning to programming process, a little update on the long-range transportation plan, along with the potential route transfers that we're working on, and also an update on the SR 88 Apache Trail. Next slide, please. So, a big part of our tribal outreach is, really focused on just hearing the needs and with our tribal partners. As you can see from the graphic on the left there, the tribal communities are a huge part of our transportation system. Where we have the 67 airports, over 1,200 miles, along with 28% of Arizona lands is within the tribal nations. Along with also there's 22 tribes in Arizona. 7 have Aboriginal and ancestral interests in Arizona that are located out of state. And the tribes, they do operate 7 tribal public transportation systems. And then the graph on the right, I just want to reemphasize our constant outreach that we continually have with our tribal communities. It's ongoing. That's, the circular cycle of this. It never stops. And the issues range from, new development of projects, maintenance, operation issues, but it's a big part of our outreaches with our tribal communities. Next slide, please. So some of the statewide activities we're working on, we're doing outreach with the tribe liaisons, and they're consulting with the different tribal outreach for the intelligent transportation system architectural update. We recently had the long range plan, the virtual public meeting, along with the P2P workshops, and we're really seeing a lot more engagement with our tribal partners in the P2P workshop, because it's very important that they understand, how projects get fed into the 5-year program. And we're recently kicking off the Vulnerable Road User Safety Assessment. That stakeholder meeting was held earlier in the week, along with the upcoming for the NEVI deployment plan. This is the update from last year's plan. We'll be having a statewide virtual public hearing next month, and many of the tribal communities expressed a lot of interest in how the NEVI plan or program is moving forward. Next slide, please. Then, as mentioned earlier, the Rural Transportation Summit is coming up in next month in October. It does take place on the 18th and 19th. And what we're doing here is on the 18th, which is Wednesday, there'll be a Tribal Nations partnering meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to just inform participants of recent updates, allow tribes an opportunity to reconnect, but also hear some of their concerns. Some of the agenda items, we'll have remarks from ADOT, the USDOT Office of Secretary of Tribal Government Affairs, Mr. Orlando Teller. The Division Administrator, FHWA Administration Division, will be there, along with the Bureau of Indian Affairs for the West Region. Also, we'll have one of the big topics we'll be covering is the NEPA assignment, and also just a roundtable discussion. Next slide, please. So some of our Northern Region Arizona activities, and there's a meeting later today with the Wallapai tribe, and some of the concerns they're expressing is the road maintenance along SR 66. They also have concerns about when there's this incidents along I-40, when we have to divert traffic. And they also, because when we divert traffic, some of the speeds are relatively high through their community. So they're looking out to ask us if there's ways we can incorporate some traffic calming measures to help reduce some of those speeds. Next, we have the Hopi Partnership meeting next week. This is an ongoing meeting with our Hopi partners, and some of the topics that will be coming up next week are the right-of-way transfer of HR 60 Low Mountain Road, SR 89. Also, they have issues or concerns with the SR 89 road closures. Next, we'll have a couple of meetings that will be in the future, or with the Navajo Nation, the Rock Point chapter. They got concerns regarding the flooding along US 191. And also the Round Rock chapter will be meeting later in the year as well, to talk about some of the high rates of speed traveling through their area along US 191. Next slide, please. So a little bit update on the P2P process. As you can see, we've held 5 workshops to date. Things are going quite well. Jason James and his team are doing a great job there, meeting with the districts, and we've had very good participation. I think the North Central one had close to 30 to 40 people there. Excuse me. Some of the upcoming ones next week, We have the Southwest District, which is on September 18th. And this will be followed up by the South Central District on September 20th, 11:30 to 2 for that one. Again, the P2P process is a performance-based approach to planning. The objective of P2P is provide a transparent, logical, understandable, and reproducible methodology to efficiently preserve and improve the ADOT's transportation systems. And, you know, the 5-year program, the long-range plan, along with the P2P are all interconnected as we deliver the projects. Next slide, please. So this little update on the long-range plan of things that have been happening since the last time we provided you an update. Next slide, please. A couple things I'll go over is the project schedule, the public involvement, then just the overview of, again, of the recommended investment choices and the additional efforts that will be undertaken. So the project schedule, just to show where we're at, as you can see, we're approaching the final 30-day comment period. And our plan is to bring the 2050 long-range plan to the board in October for their adoption. And as you can see, there's many activities that happened to get to where we are today, and all this information as far as if there's a desire to look at any of the revenue analysis, any of the gap analysis, all that information is available on the ADOT long-range plan website. Again, the long-range plan is a policy document that must be updated every 5 years to provide a current roadmap for the state transportation system over the next 25 years. As part of the process, there are requirements for public input. As you can see, the draft LRTP was made available for the 45-day public review. We had a virtual meeting that was held on August 22nd. We had close to 67 people attend. When we have these public meetings, we provide English and Spanish recordings as necessary. Then also our virtual comment survey is on the website through, which is over now, but it was on there through September 7th. Again, the plan serves as a policy-based plan rather than a project-based plan, meaning that establishes a policy recommendations but does not recommend specific projects. So the long-range transportation plan has two major policy outcomes. The first is a list of strategies which provide recommendations for how future decisions and processes should align with the state's vision, goals, and objectives. The second is the recommended investment choice, which serves as a guide of how available funding should be allocated across preservation, modernization, and the expansion categories. Next slide, please. So just a little recap on the public comments that we received, feedback received today. Most of the comments have been general in nature. We're really outside the scope of the project. We've had a few complaints on pavement conditions and other issues with our pavement condition. There's definitely a need. There was a lot of input on public transit and the need to increase the amount of public transit. So to date, we had over close to 485 individual comments. The graph on the right shows how we categorize them. There's the funding distributions, came up the rural needs and the state highway system, along with the expansion, the need for expansion across greater Arizona. Next slide, please. So just we presented this information during the meeting in Florence, but just wanted to recap and provide an overview of it. This is the long-range transportation plan. On the left is the current long-range plan that was put together in 2018. where it shows the forecasted overall needs of 55.3 million. We had the forecasted revenues of 20.8 that came to the estimated gap of around 30 plus million dollars. So we compare it now to the current draft long-range plan on the right there. As you can see, the state highway system needs have grown substantially. A lot of that is due to the cost of construction. Then we have our forecasted revenues are up. And again, our estimated funding gap has grown to $162.3 billion. Next slide, please. And so, again, just to recap on the draft long-range plan, we have a need of 31.4 million with the revenue of 69.1. Much of the revenue is allocated in specific programs such as the HSIP, the bridge program. And so for Greater Arizona, the revenue flexibility choice is around 29.7 million. The projected, the anticipated revenue available over the 25-year period, as I mentioned, is 69.1 million, which includes ADOT's portion of the HERF, the freeways and highway portions of the MAG, raw funding freeways and highways from the PAG, Pima County Associated Governments. It also includes ADOT stewardship programs such as the federal transit funding, as well as federal and state aviation funding. The funding gap represents the difference between the projected needs and the ADOT projected revenues. Next slide, please. So for Greater Arizona, we're showing a breakdown of a recommended investment choice, where we have dedicated, or the guideline, the recommended investment choice is a guideline where we're showing 78% towards preservation, which is approximately $23 billion. And we have 15% towards modernization, 4.6 billion. And we have 7% toward expansion, which is $2.1 billion. Next slide, please. So this is just a breakdown of the recommended investment choices by geographic areas. And so whereas the graph on the left is a statewide recommended investment choice, where we have 24% or 15 billion toward modernization. We have 40% or 24.6 billion preservation. Then we have 36% or 22.6 billion towards expansion. Again, this is the statewide. In the graphs to the right, we break it down. I just covered the recommended investment choices for Greater Arizona. They're on the left. And for PAG, they have 1.5 billion or 28% for modernization and 72% or $4 billion toward expansion. Then the MAG breakdown, Maricopa Association of Governments breakdown, is showing 61% toward expansion or 16.5 billion. And we have 33% or 8.9 billion toward modernization, with preservation at 6% with 1.7 billion. As you can see, most of the Greater Arizona's investment is in preservation of our system. Next slide, please. So some of the additional efforts that we'll moving forward with, I alluded to earlier, the final long-range plan will have to go through the 30-day public review, which will start in September 18th. And there's the location of the ADOT, the link to the ADOT 2050 website. And we'll be requesting a letter from the State Transportation Board for inclusion, like we did on the previous plan, to be included with the final version. And as mentioned earlier, we're looking to request and recommend adoption at the October board meeting coming in Yuma next month. Next slide, please. So that covers the long-range plan. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do. I've got a question.
Yes, go ahead, Ted.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. And these are all in regards to the long-range transportation plan. So the comments section, is that included in the final plan, or are those, can we find those comments? Because I got some specific on like the passenger rail ones that if I can find them on the website, I'll just go there and.
Yeah, we'll send you those comments related to passenger rail. I'll get with our team and we can make those available to you, sir.
That'd be outstanding. Then the other thing I wanted to ask is on those breakdowns that you just showed between greater Arizona and then you had the PAG and the MAG money. Is that assuming in the long range plan passage of both Prop 400E and a secondary RTA?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so if either one of those don't pan out or don't come on board in the right time, then that 50-year plan is extremely impacted, correct?
Yes, we'll have to amend the long-range plan, because even if on the Prop 400, if the percentages change, the distribution between, I may get this wrong, infrastructure and public transportation, we'll have to go back and make amendments to the long-range plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Any other questions from the board? Jesse?
Paul, thank you for your presentation and your efforts, ADOT staff and tribal liaisons reaching out to the Native American communities. You heard quite a bit about their needs, and certainly they're very difficult to address. Easily we can say that's against policy, or we don't have enough funding. But I think that working together more and more with them, we can find ways to begin addressing at least a percentage of their needs. Yes, I understand, many of this is in policies will allow certain projects that are bringing up. But I think by working together, continuing to be united and trying to make things happen, I think we can be very successful in meetings on those meetings. Again, thank you very much for your efforts.
No, you're very much welcome. And, that's why I think I've been here in ADOT many years, and that's one thing I can say. We always come to the table with an open mind, and we like to create and just improve our partnerships, so. Okay, we good?
Any other questions from the board? Do any of our virtual members have any questions for Paul at this point? Okay, Paul, go ahead and continue.
So I just wanted to provide just a little update on the potential route transfers that we're working on. We have two that are currently in progress, and the first one is the Bullhead City, or the SR 95 section within Bullhead City. It's approximately a little over 10 miles segment that we're in negotiations with the local agency as well as with ADOT. So things are moving forward progressively. There's been a lot of positive movement on this one. And so just looking forward to some of the ongoing negotiations and looking, as mentioned from the mayor of Bullhead City, as things progress, we eventually will come to the board for this approval of the route transfer. And in this particular case, ADOT is transferring our roadway to a local agency. And so on the Naco Highway section, this is with Cochise County. As you can see, the Naco Highway is the section going down to the south there to the bottom of the page. And so we received a request from the Board of Supervisors and the county for ADOT to take this section of roadway into our system. So this is the complete opposite of what we're doing in Bullhead City. And so we received the letters and we've had a meeting with the county and requested some of the additional information to help us make our decisions. Because whenever you do turnbacks, there's always things that come up. If it's either the right-of-way documentation. So on this one, it was our understanding that the Naco Highway was under the jurisdiction of just the county, but on this particular section of road, City of Bisbee has jurisdiction over segments of Naco Highway as well. And so that being the case, we'll have to do or begin to research and investigate 2 possible route transfers because of the 2 agencies. So we'll have to work through those administrative efforts there. But there is the important part is that the communication has started and there is being information shared by both parties. So good step in the right direction on these because they can become quite well, when you get into negotiations, things can go either good or positive or negative, I could say. But we always look for the positive. Next slide, please. So just a little update on the Apache Trail project. The scope of this project was a design concept report and an environmental overview document. We had a public meeting on August 16th there at the City of Apache Junction Multi-Generational Center. And there was over 200 representatives there, and they were very vocal on the need to open up the highway. Next slide, please. I'm sorry. Again, just real quick on just a shout out to our community relations and communications staff who lead these efforts when we have our public meetings because they can be quite challenging. And this one here, we had people lined up to get inside. And so, but some of the methods we use to convey and update the general public on. We have the in-person meetings. We also use the government delivery notices along with several social media posts, either Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, along with our web page, the ADOT web page. And for this project here, we did do ads in the Arizona Republic. Next slide, please. So, a lot of the frustration and the themes and what we heard was how the road is still closed. Many of the residents there feel we need to do better in moving things forward. And this design concept report is the first step in moving forward. And so other themes that were presented were as far as kind of get it open, then do the major repairs, but a lot of them wanted ADOT to preserve the historic character of the road, which that is our intent. And one comment was request for ADOT to prioritize and advance the project by any means necessary. So today, besides, I think Floyd's got close to 3,000 emails already over the last few years. But for this public, today we have received close to 1,200 comments on the study and through the various ways of online responses, emails, phone calls, and written comments from the public. Our intent is to complete and finalize the design concept report early this fall. Then we'll be in a position to move forward and try to seek funding for design and construction. For design, we did apply for one of the bipartisan infrastructure grants. We applied for the Protect grant for the design phase only. Next slide, please. Any questions?
Does the board have any questions for Paul?
Gary, this is
I just would like to state that I have been attending the P2P workshops to the Northwest a week or so ago, and I have the Southwest next week. I would strongly recommend for the board members to attend those. They're very informative, very insightful. It gives you a very good idea of how these projects get onto the 5-year plan, and all the work that goes into it, to vet the programs so that the highest priority ones make it to the 5-year plan. So with that said, thank you, Paul, for your presentation. I would like to say on the Apache Trail, I can't really agree with doing it at all costs. We have to prioritize the Apache Trail, just like every other highway and road in the state. And so I can't go along with it at the top of the list at this point. Any other comments from the board?
Gary, this is Richard.
Yes, Richard.
Paul, any update on the 331 exit on 10 on the repairs?
I'll have to defer to Greg Byers for this one. Excuse me.
Okay.
He's right here.
Mr. Chairman, board members, Member Cyril, we are looking at having the final selection for the contractor by the 1st of October, with construction starting pretty much immediately right after that. This is for the 191 bridge over I-10 that was hit by a truck and burned underneath it. So the bridge currently is closed. And so that's the status of where we're at on that.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Chair, this is Jen Daniels.
Yes, Jen.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank ADOT for their attention, particularly to State Route 88. I've been participating as frequently as I can in some of their small group meetings, as well as the East Valley Transportation Infrastructure Committee that has focused a lot on State Route 88 and has a great desire to see this project proceed for several different reasons. Tourism is one of them, but there is a massive public safety element associated with this as well, particularly for those who need to access Apache Lake and others. And I do think that this definitely warrants greater attention, and I appreciate the fact that ADOT has responded so well. That is a very organized group, and they are very passionate about State Route 88, both from a historical perspective as well as the public safety and tourism perspective. So again, grateful for that effort and excited to see that project continue to move along. And if our board members haven't ever made it or haven't gone down to Tortilla Flats and seen the beauty of that area, I've actually hiked quite a bit back there prior to the fires as well. And it's just such a gorgeous area of our state. So thank you again to ADOT for assisting on that.
Any other comments or questions for Paul? Hearing none, then we will move on to item 6, the PPAC items, with Paul for presenting those as well.
Say, David, we don't have the, oh, here we go. He's coming out.
Okay, the first item, Chairman Knight, board members, is item 6A. Just a little quick blurb on the Economic Strength Program. The ESP is a joint program with Arizona Commerce Center. Each year, 1 million is allocated to the Economic Strengths Program. The fund comes from the HERF Highway Revenue User Fund. A project can be awarded a maximum of $500,000. The objective is to help rural communities build a roadway or transportation improvement that will lead to a business or retail center, thereby generating jobs and stimulating the local economy. It is hoped that this will also generate other capital investments within the communities.
Does anyone on the board have a question? I understand and for the life of me, I can't remember doing this one last year, but anyway, Ted is at a loss too, but so these are HERF funds. Every year, $1 million is allocated to this program, and this year there were 9 applications, and they're vetted by and scored. It's a better word. They're scored by the Commerce Association and one member from ADOT, and I can't remember all of them, but so these projects have all been scored. These are the top 4 from the 9 applicants. Is that correct?
That's correct. Just to add a little bit, there's Arizona revised statute that guide the community development. The funding for this program comes off the top of the highway revenue, the HERF funding. And so that's where our role comes into awarding the project.
Okay. Go ahead, Ted.
Mr. Chair, Paul, so in this case, obviously there was 9 applicants, so it was a pretty robust. Is that historically, what's the number of average applicants we've been getting under this program?
Last year was my first year doing it. I think there was 6, but this definitely was more this year. And if all the funding's not used, it rolls over to the next year. That's why this year is $1.3 million. Even though there's $1 million dedicated each year from the funding.
At this point, there won't be any rollover for next year, correct?
Correct. I believe we used all total awards is 1.3 million is what.
Okay.
All requests.
Any other questions from the board? If there are no questions, then I will entertain a motion to approve PPAC Economic Strength Project, item 6A as presented.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Maxwell, a second from Board Member Thompson to approve item 6A as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Then Floyd, will you poll the virtual board members?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Vice Chair Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
Member Howard,
Aye.
Chairman, the motion carries.
Yeah.
You only get one vote this one.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, moving on to Chairman Knight, board members, for your consideration, the proposed changes to the FY 2024-2028 State Transportation Facilities Construction Program, items 6B through 6F project modifications.
Are there any questions from any of on items 6B through 6F? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve PPAC project modification items 6B through 6F as presented?
Chairman, I would so move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Thompson, a second from Board Member Maxwell to approve PPAC project modification items 6B through 6F as presented. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Floyd, would you poll our virtual members?
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
Member Howard,
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you.
Chairman Knight, board members, for your consideration, the proposed changes to the 2024-2028 State Transportation Facilities Program, items 6G and 6H, new projects.
Are there any questions from the board on items 6G through 6F? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve P-PAC new projects, items 6G through 6H?
I move to approve 6G and 6H as recommended.
Who moved to approve?
I think I did. I just made it more elaborate of a move
Okay,
instead of just so moved, so.
I've got a motion
Second.
to approve from Member Maxwell and a second from Member Thompson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Floyd, would you poll our virtual members?
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
Member Howard,
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, one more. Chairman Knight, board members, for your consideration, the proposed changes to the 2024-2028 State Transportation Facilities Construction Program, items 6I and 6J from the Airport Capital Improvement Program.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve P-PAC Airport Project items 6I and 6J as presented?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Thompson, a second from Board Member Maxwell to approve P-PAC Airport Project items 6I and 6J. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Floyd, would you poll our virtual members?
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
Member Howard,
Aye.
Chairman, the motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd. Now we'll move on to agenda item 7.
Thank you.
State Engineers Report with Gregory Myers. For information and discussion only.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. To date, we have 93 projects that are currently under construction for a value of $2.1 billion. 6 projects were finalized in the month of August, worth $13 million. Fiscal year to date, we have 15 projects that have been finalized. That is where we're at with the summary for our active and finalized projects.
Any questions from the board? Okay.
We'll go on to item 8. This is new construction contracts. We've got 10 projects that we're presenting today. Going forward, one of the good things to see here is we got a lot of green on the screen, which is somewhat rare nowadays, but good thing. Next slide, please. So far to date, we have 13 projects that have been awarded. We are under the engineer or the state's estimates by a little over 600,000 to date, or 1.8% of the total funding that has been provided for those projects. Next slide, please. We'll go on to item 8A. This is a pavement and spot repair project. We had,
Greg, you're a couple slides behind. Could you go one more slide, please? This is for the virtual attendees. They're not seeing slide 8A. More slide, please. Advance one more slide. That's it. Thank you.
okay, we're all caught up. So for this project, we had 4 bidders on the project. The low bid was $782,282. The state's estimate was $986,817, a difference of $204,535 or 20.7%. The contractor estimated a higher rate of production than the state's estimate for both milling and paving. And with that higher production rate, the cost of traffic control was also reduced. After analyzing the low bid, it was determined that the bid is a responsive and responsible bid, and we recommend award to Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC.
Is there a motion to award item 8A to Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC as presented?
Chairman, I would go ahead and move.
Second.
I have a motion from Member Thompson, a second from Board Member Maxwell to approve, to award item 8A to Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
And one quick comment, Mr. Chair. I love seeing all the green. I'd recommend putting them on these slides as green too when it's in the good direction versus the opposite direction, just to highlight that even more.
Excellent, we'll do that.
Fred, will you poll our virtual members?
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Beck,
Aye.
Member Howard.
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd.
Our next item is item 8B. This is installation of flashing signs in Tuba City on US 160 and SR 98. We had 1 bidder on this project. The low bid was $197,777. The state's estimate was $149,661, a difference of $48,116 or 32.1% over the state's estimate. The state's estimate was based on mobilization from Flagstaff. The sole bidder for the project is planning on mobilizing from Phoenix. After analyzing the bid, it appears that the bid is responsive and responsible, and we recommend award to Hawk Contracting LLC.
Do I hear a motion to award item 8B to Hawk Contracting LLC as presented?
Move.
Second, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
Would you?
Yeah, I have a motion from Board Member Thompson and a second from Board Member Maxwell to award item 8B to Hawk Contracting LLC as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would you please poll our virtual members?
Board Member Maxwell, you said you had a comment. Did you want? Okay.
To Greg afterwards. So I'm always curious why when we only have a single bidder.
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Beck,
Aye.
Member Howard.
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd. Go ahead.
Our next item is.
Question, Ted?
Aye.
I'll save it for this bid because this one also only has 1 bidder. So.
Okay. Go ahead, Greg.
So this item is item 8C. This is modifying raised medians in Glendale, Gilbert, and Queen Creek. We only had 1 bidder on this project. The low bid was $632,870. State's estimate was $782,869, a difference of $149,999, or 19.2% below the state's estimate. The bidder intends to self-perform all of the work items, including removal of AC pavement, aggregate base, traffic control, curb and gutter, and asphalt concrete, as well as surveying and layout. By He also intends to use smaller equipment to minimize the disturbance. After analyzing the bid, it appears to be responsive and responsible bid, and we recommend award to AJP Electric Inc.
So do I have a motion to award item 8C to AJP Electric Inc. as presented?
So moved.
Good.
I have a motion from Member Maxwell and a second from Board Member Thompson to award item 8C to AJP Electric Inc. as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Floyd, would you pull our virtual members?
Vice Chair Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
Member Howard,
Aye.
Chairman, the motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd. And now do you have a question, Ted?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Greg, you know, I'm always concerned when we only have one bidder. Now, the first one, it seemed pretty, to me, it was probably because of location. And it was out, it was a smaller contract on top of it. And a couple of the other ones that only have one bidders this time around too also seem to be driven by location of the projects. However, the one that we just approved was not. So what is your belief for why we only had a single bidder on that project?
So on the small, what we're seeing right now is the industry is pretty inundated with work. Has been for quite a while, and it's still continuing. There's a real crunch on the workforce. So the smaller projects that we had where we normally would have multiple bidders, we're now only seeing one bidder coming through. And, you know, when it was $100,000, $200,000 projects, that's kind of always been an issue. But it's kind of creeping up a little bit. You know, we've got one project here that was over 600,000, and there's just not, but there's interest out there, but unfortunately, the workload is so heavy that in a lot of cases, the bidders just aren't there.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
Our next item is item 8B. These are safety improvements, London Bridge Road, Reamer Drive to SR 95. We had one bidder on this project. The low bid was $243,333. The state's estimate was $325,701, a difference of $82,368, or 25.3% below the state's estimate. Production rates for obliterating the pavement markings and the new pavement markings were greater than the state's estimate. So consequently, it's came up with a lower price. After analyzing the bid, it appears to be a responsive and responsible bid, and we recommend award to Contracting.
Do I hear a motion to award item 8D to Hawk Contracting LLC as presented?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Thompson, a second from Board Member Maxwell to award item 8D to Hawk Contracting LLC. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Go ahead, Floyd.
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Meck,
Aye.
and Member Howard.
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd.
So our next item is item 8E. These are raised pavement markers and curb signs in Mojave County, various locations. We had two bidders on this project. The low bid was $248,888. State's estimate was $195,547. The difference of $53,342, or 27.3% over the state's estimate. In this particular case, Mojave County is not willing to pay additional funds. We recommend the rejection of all bids. Mojave County may come back with a different package and rebid this project sometime in the future, possibly in November.
Is there a motion to reject all bids on item 8E as presented?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Maxwell, a second from Board Member Thompson to reject all bids on item 8E as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And go ahead, Floyd.
Vice Chairman Searle,
Aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Beck,
Aye.
Member Howard.
Aye.
Chairman, motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd.
Item 8F is next. This is to construct multi-use pathway in the city of Nogales. We had one bidder on this project. The low bid was $1,207,622. State's estimate was $786,310, a difference of $421,312, or 53.6% over the state's estimate. Cost estimate from the bidder were higher than the state's estimate for structural concrete and mobilization and riprap. The city of Nogales is not willing to pay the additional funds at this time. Therefore, we recommend that bids be rejected. The city of Nogales may rescope the project and bid sometime in the future.
Is there a motion to reject all bids on item 8F as presented?
So move.
Second.
I have a motion from Board Member Thompson, a second from Board Member Maxwell to reject all bids on item 8F as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Go ahead, Floyd.
Vice Chairman Searle,
Floyd, aye. I'll vote aye.
Member Daniels,
Aye.
Member Beck,
Aye.
and Member Howard.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Floyd.
Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Moving on to agenda item 9, suggestions. Do any board members have any suggestions for future agenda items?
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to remind everybody that the next board meeting is October 20th in Yuma. It is in conjunction with the Rural Transportation Summit, which will be the 18th and the 19th, a couple of days before. So if you are attending, please make sure you work with, get registered, but you work with Linda to make sure you're getting your reimbursement. Otherwise, we've already started the coordination with the city of Yuma in preparation for the board meeting, so we should be in good shape.
Thank you, Floyd. Yeah, I'm looking forward for, hopefully, we can all be there. That being
Chair
said,
Knight,
if there are no other,
This is Jenny. Can I request one item for next month's meeting? Greg, is it possible you could come back with cost to date against the 50 million that we allocated for statewide maintenance? Just kind of how much we've expended of that budget?
Mr. Chairman, members, yes, we can certainly bring that forward.
Thank you.
that was Jenny?
Yes, it
Okay.
was.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other comments, suggestions for agenda items, future? That being said, we have concluded this agenda. We've covered all the items. If there's no further business for this board, we're adjourned.
Thanks all. See ya.
Thank you. Everybody have a great weekend.